At the stroke of dawn on an April day in 2021, everything changed in the small town of Mead, Oklahoma. In one quiet moment, a normal morning turned into a mystery that would trouble the town for many years. On that day, 27-year-old Dakota Scott Covington, known for his gentle nature and friendly smile, vanished without any warning. There was no violent struggle, no frantic note left behind, only an empty space where Dakota once was. The calm of everyday life was suddenly replaced by a heavy silence that spread fear and confusion throughout the community. In those early hours, life in Mead seemed to follow its usual, slow, predictable rhythm. Neighbors greeted each other on the sidewalks, shopkeepers opened their stores, and families sat down for breakfast. Dakota's small house, filled with simple, warm details, was a place where everything seemed in order. Yet as the day went on, something did not feel right. Dakota was not there. His disappearance was not loud or dramatic. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. When the police arrived, they searched Dakota's house very carefully. They found a door that was left slightly open, a cushion that was not in its proper place, and fingerprints that did not match any of the family's. Every small detail felt like a piece of a puzzle that did not quite fit. At the same time, investigators looked at Dakota's phone records. His phone had gone silent in an instant, and no one could explain why his usual pattern of calls and messages had stopped so suddenly. These little clues began to form a picture of a day that was anything but ordinary. A small, blurry video from a gas station nearby added to the confusion. The video showed a brief, shadowy figure standing near a parked car. The image was not clear, but it was enough to raise many questions. Who was that person? Was the figure connected to Dakota's disappearance? The sight of this unknown face, barely visible and quickly gone, sparked many questions in the minds of the police and the townspeople alike. As the investigation went on, the police found more puzzling details. Phone records showed that a series of calls were made from an unknown number at the same time Dakota disappeared. These calls were made in quick succession and then stopped suddenly as if someone had decided to cut them off. The digital records from security cameras and phone logs did not match up with the normal flow of time. There were gaps and strange changes that made the police wonder if someone had tampered with the evidence. How could time itself be changed in the records? Is it possible that someone had deliberately hidden the truth? Slowly, a new twist came to light. Forensic accountants, who study money and financial records, found a series of small money transfers that at first seemed normal. But when these transactions were looked at together, they formed a pattern that was too precise to be a coincidence. The transfers hinted that there might be a secret group involved, one that had the power to change records and hide important clues. This discovery made the investigation even more complicated. Was Dakota just an unlucky victim caught in a much larger scheme? Who had the power and the know-how to change evidence so perfectly? If you are as curious and as troubled by these twists as we are, please take a moment to pause and share your thoughts. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your theories. Do you think Dakota's disappearance was an isolated tragedy, or is there a hidden force at work here? Your ideas and questions are very important in helping us understand this mystery. As days turned into weeks, the investigation dug deeper into every corner of Dakota's life and the events of that fateful day. Detectives re-examined every detail: the small marks on the door, the slight shift in the arrangement of furniture, and the strange gaps in Dakota's phone records. Every tiny piece of evidence was treated as if it might hold the key to a much larger secret. Yet with each new discovery, the case grew more confusing. The more the investigators looked, the more they began to suspect that the evidence itself might not be as real as it appeared. Inside the police station, experienced detectives gathered in quiet rooms, poring over digital files and physical clues. They compared the security footage, checked the phone logs, and studied every financial record. One surprising finding was that several of the digital timestamps did not match what should have happened. It was as if someone had changed the time on the records to hide the truth. This made everyone wonder, if the very digital records could be changed, then how could anyone be sure of what really happened? Meanwhile, in the courtroom, experts in digital forensics and cybersecurity explained how easy it was for someone to change data. They showed that even the smallest digital record could be manipulated if a person had the right skills and access. The defense in the case argued that every piece of evidence was now suspect, that nothing could be trusted because it might have been altered by someone with bad intentions. Every new piece of expert testimony only deepened the mystery and made it clear that this was not a simple case of a missing person. It was a case that might involve hidden powers and secret actions. The town of Mead was not immune to the growing sense of fear and uncertainty. In everyday conversations at the local diner, people began to whisper about the strange events. They asked each other, in hushed tones, how could such a small, peaceful town be caught up in something so big? How could the trusted systems that were meant to keep them safe suddenly become the very tools used to hide the truth? These questions spread like wildfire, and soon everyone was talking about the possibility that something more sinister was behind Dakota's disappearance. Investigators continued their work with determination. They rechecked the digital files, interviewed more neighbors, and looked for any detail that could lead to an answer. Slowly, the case began to show signs of a deeper conspiracy. One evening, as rain softly tapped on the windows of the investigation room, a new set of digital logs was found. These logs showed that messages and calls were sent at exactly the time Dakota disappeared, but then they were erased almost as if by a magic trick. This sudden digital erasure was no accident. It looked planned, and it made everyone ask, who could erase such vital information and why? In the midst of this maze of clues and questions, the financial records continued to play a mysterious role. The small money transfers that had once seemed normal were now seen as potential evidence of a hidden plan. The records showed that money was moved between several accounts in a very careful pattern. It was as if every dollar had a purpose in a much larger plan. This pattern of transactions suggested that there might be powerful people involved, people who could use money to hide the truth and control the flow of information. How deep does this hidden network go, and who benefits from keeping Dakota's disappearance a secret? As weeks passed, the police and the forensic teams worked tirelessly to put together the scattered pieces of this puzzle. They found that the digital records, the physical evidence, and the financial trails all pointed toward a carefully planned cover-up. Every piece of evidence, no matter how small, seemed to hint at the possibility that Dakota's life had been caught up in a plot that was larger than anyone could have imagined. The detectives were now not only trying to find Dakota, but also trying to uncover the truth behind a system that seemed to be working against them. In the quiet nights, when the work slowed and the silence of the station grew heavy, the investigators would gather in small groups and ask the same questions over and over. What if every piece of evidence we have has been changed? What if the timeline of that morning was not real, but a fake story designed to hide the truth? These questions were not asked out of doubt, but out of a deep need to find the answers that had eluded them for so long. As the investigation moved forward, more witnesses began to come forward. One local resident recalled seeing a strange car parked near Dakota's home on that morning, a car that did not belong to anyone in the town. Another neighbor mentioned hearing a soft hum and then a sudden silence when he walked by the street. These small, seemingly unimportant details began to add up. Each new witness offered a piece of the story that, when put together, formed a picture of a day filled with subtle hints and deliberate actions meant to confuse and mislead. At the same time, experts in technology explained in simple terms how data could be easily changed. They noted that in today's world, even the most secure systems were vulnerable if someone had the right tools and enough time. The idea that someone could erase parts of the digital record made everyone wonder. If our trusted technology can be fooled so easily, what else might be hidden from us? This simple truth struck a chord with many, as it revealed the fragility of the systems on which people depend every day. Slowly, the case of Dakota Scott Covington grew into a story that was not just about one man's disappearance, but about a deeper crisis of trust. The people of Mead, once proud of their safe and simple way of life, now found themselves questioning everything. The familiar faces in the town began to look different, as if everyone might be hiding a secret. In living rooms, at dinner tables, and in quiet corners of the local diner, people asked, how can we be sure of anything when even the smallest record can be changed? This doubt spread like ripples across a pond, touching every part of the community. In a long, drawn-out search for the truth, investigators and townspeople alike began to piece together a new narrative. They realized that Dakota's disappearance might not be a random act, but a carefully designed move by people who knew how to manipulate both physical and digital evidence. Every new finding, the changed timestamps, the strange financial transactions, the missing digital logs, seemed to support this idea. And yet, the truth remained hidden, buried under layers of altered records and unanswered questions. One rainy evening, as the investigation entered a critical phase, a breakthrough finally emerged. A forgotten set of backup files was discovered on a computer that had not been touched for many months. These files contained messages and data that had not been altered. They showed a timeline of events that matched some of the original records, but also filled in many gaps. For the first time in many weeks, the investigators felt that they were looking at an unspoiled version of the truth. But even then, questions remained. Why were these backup files hidden away? Who had the power to alter the main records but not the backups? The discovery of the backup files brought a mix of hope and fear. Hope, because they offered a glimpse of what might really have happened on that fateful day. Fear, because they also hinted at the lengths to which someone might go to hide the truth. The detectives began to reassemble the timeline of Dakota's last hours using this new evidence. Every small detail, from the time of his last call to the appearance of that mysterious figure on the dash cam, was scrutinized and put into place like pieces of a broken clock. As the investigation wore on, the courtroom became a place of heated debates. Expert witnesses explained in clear, simple language how digital evidence could be changed. They showed how easy it was for someone with the right tools to make a digital record look real even when it was not. The defense used these points to argue that nothing in the case could be trusted. With every testimony, the story grew more complex, and the simple truth became harder to find. The case soon turned into a battle over trust, not just in the evidence, but in the people who were supposed to protect it. The local police, once seen as the guardians of the town's peace, now found themselves under intense scrutiny. Many began to wonder if the very system designed to keep them safe was itself broken. How can we trust a system that can hide the truth so easily? This question resonated deeply in every conversation, adding another layer of pain to the mystery of Dakota's disappearance. As the weeks turned into months, the small town of Mead became a place of both sorrow and determination. Every resident, from the oldest grandparent to the youngest child, felt the weight of the mystery. They gathered in community halls and over cups of tea to discuss the strange events. The simple, everyday life they had once known was replaced by a deep need to find answers. Some days the town felt like it was caught in a long, unending night, while other days, small sparks of hope lit the way forward. In the midst of this search, the investigators continued to work with the hope that every altered record and every missing detail would eventually lead them to the truth. They rechecked every financial transaction, re-examined every piece of digital data, and talked to every person who might have seen something unusual. Every time a small clue emerged, a witness remembering a strange car, a neighbor noticing odd behavior, or an expert pointing out a flaw in the digital timeline, it was treated as a precious gift. These clues, however small, were the threads that might eventually unravel the entire mystery. The case of Dakota Scott Covington was no longer just about a missing person. It had become a mirror reflecting the vulnerabilities of a modern world, where even the most trusted systems could be turned against us. The more the truth was sought, the more it seemed to hide behind layers of carefully crafted lies. And yet the determination to uncover the truth burned brightly in the hearts of everyone involved. Every evening, as the sun set over Mead and cast long shadows over familiar streets, the town was reminded of what was at stake. Dakota's absence was a silent scream for help, a plea that echoed through every empty house and every quiet road. The simple life that once defined the town was now filled with questions that had no easy answers. How can a person vanish so completely? What dark forces could be behind the alteration of records and the erasure of digital messages? And most importantly, what will it take to bring the truth into the light? As you listen to this unfolding story, think about these questions. What if the clues you see every day hide a secret you have not yet uncovered? What if the ordinary details of life can be used to hide something extraordinary and sinister? These questions are not meant to confuse you. They are an invitation to look deeper, to question what you think you know, and to join in the search for answers. In the end, the story of Dakota Scott Covington is a tale of loss, of mystery, and of a community's struggle to find truth in a world where even the most trusted records can be changed. It is a reminder that the search for truth is never simple or straightforward. It is a journey filled with twists and turns, with moments of hope and despair, and with a constant challenge to trust what we see and hear. Now, as the investigation continues and more evidence is slowly uncovered, one thing remains clear. The disappearance of Dakota Scott Covington has shaken the town of Mead to its core. It has revealed weaknesses in systems that many had believed were unbreakable. And it has sparked a determination among the people of Mead to stand up for the truth, no matter how hidden it may be. Every small clue, every altered record, and every whispered conversation is a step toward understanding what happened on that April morning. The truth may still be hidden, buried under layers of deception and error, but with every question asked and every detail examined, the path to the truth grows a little clearer. The town of Mead, though scarred by loss, continues to hold on to hope that one day the full story will be revealed. So as you reflect on this mystery, remember that every question is a step toward understanding, and every effort to uncover the truth is a sign of our shared determination to bring light to the darkness. Dakota's story is not just his own. It is a reminder to all of us that in the face of uncertainty and manipulation, we must keep asking questions, keep searching for answers, and never stop believing that the truth will one day emerge. Join us in this ongoing journey. Share your thoughts, ask your questions, and help us piece together the fragments of a mystery that continues to challenge everything we thought we knew. Because in the end, every voice matters, and every question brings us one step closer to the truth that lies hidden in the shadows of that fateful April day in Mead. And so the search for Dakota Scott Covington goes on, a search that is as much about restoring trust as it is about finding a missing man. In the quiet moments when the town of Mead listens to the silence left behind, there is a promise that the truth will be uncovered, that every hidden detail will one day see the light of day, and that the voices of those who dare to question will bring justice to a mystery that has touched us all. This is the story of Dakota, a story of ordinary life interrupted by extraordinary events. A story that calls on each of us to never take the truth for granted, to always look beyond the surface, and to join together in the search for answers. Let us continue to ask, to search, and to speak out until the final piece of this puzzle is found and the silence is broken forever. And that concludes our deep dive into this fascinating case. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next investigation into the world's most compelling stories. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.